Welcome to the Fish Nerds, the show about fish, fishing, and eating fish, where anything is fair game, and it's a good bet that tonight the show will get wrecked by loud noises at a bar, because I'm here with Rich Collins, our fly fishing correspondent, and we were at the Barley Salt restaurant in North Conway. Rich suggested this place because he wanted to make sure that nobody could hear the show properly. Rich, welcome to the show.
Hey, yeah, I can't really function if things are normal, so the more distracting and the more busy we could be, the better.
Yeah, the good news is we have tiny mic stands, and we're leaning over like the hunchman in Notre Dame, trying to talk into a microphone and giggling a lot at a crowded restaurant.
And
so
everybody's looking at us like we're out of our mind.
I know, they're like, oh, they have microphones, we can't hear them.
Although they think we're famous because, you know.
I do have business cards.
And you do have a hat.
I do have a hat. I am logoed up, kind of. So anyway, we're here at Barley Salt. We've ordered some beers. What'd you get?
I got my friends down in Massachusetts Clown Shoes Space Cake because I'm a space case.
Yeah, that's a really good beer.
Oh, yeah.
And I ordered the Ballast Point Sculpin IPA, which should be here shortly to lubricate our conversation. The reason Rich is here tonight is tonight on the show we're going to talk about fly fishing in Colorado.
Yeah, we're going to do a little, I've been goofing around with you guys, but let's get back to some roots and talk about some real fly fishing, since that was my job, I thought.
It is your job.
I'm bad at my job.
Where have you been? We're also going to do a little bit of news later on, and there'll be some other surprises. I don't know yet, to be honest. This is my most unplanned show I've done in a long time.
Perfect. I like it. I like not planning. It makes life so much better.
It is, but thank God you've got notes so we can get something done.
I have notes. I really do. All these Doc Martin and like facts and flat earth have me thinking like I should be serious for a change. I have some brain somewhere.
Yeah, I should say though, we are 10 episodes away from our 200th episode show, and work on planning that now. Doc Martin will be flying out to visit for that show. I'm going to try and get some other correspondents up into the valley and
so that's
make a really good show.
Hours at least of your time times 10. So that's a lot of commitment.
Times 10 because it takes 10 hours to make a podcast.
all for the fans. Wow.
All for free.
For free.
For free. Well, but it actually reminds me, we'll go back to this in a minute, but we'll talk about how fans can support the show a little bit later in the show. I've got a big prize package I'm going to give away to supporters of the show later. But first, let's get right into content because people want to know about fly fishing in Colorado. First of all, where the hell is Colorado, for those who don't know?
Somewhere in the Rockies. Colorado is a different world for me. I'd never been before, so I was kind of excited. Had some friends that moved out there from back east here and went skiing, basically. Took a little side trip. I didn't bring all my fishing gear. I knew down there the Yampa River was a pretty popular destination, but I didn't want to make it not a ski trip, piss off my wife and friends.
It's a funny thing. I find this common problem is you go on vacation with your wife, and I do the same, and you try not to make it a fishing vacation. You try to make it,
right.
Oh, our beer has just arrived. Thank you.
Thank you.
So happy. So you try not to make it a fish vacation,
right.
But somehow we always find a way to squeak the fishing in.
And I think, I was encouraged, but what did it is walking downtown Steamboat, the Yampa River runs right through town. I mean, it's a beautiful little river. It's not big. It's not...
Are you saying Yampa River?
Yampa, yeah. I think it's not Yampa. I think it's Yampa, but it's two rivers, the Elk and the Yampa, that run right through Steamboat, so... but I mean, it's gorgeous, and you just walk. There's restaurants all along this river. There's a fly shop, and when we got there, it was 70 degrees and beautiful. And there was
70
guys. Yeah, it was. I mean, it was gorgeous. It was beautiful, bluebird skies, and I'm like, holy crap! I want to fish in that. Whole bunch of guys fishing right downtown. And then, then the weather changed.
Yeah, because I say you said 70 degrees, but the pictures you sent, there's snow everywhere, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if I'm a hardy soul or what, but I felt bad. I went with a guide. As we all know, the most efficient way to explore new waters is use a guide, and I'm glad I did because I could have fished it myself, but I can't ask questions if I don't go with somebody I know or someone that knows the area. So I learned a whole lot about the fishery. Which is interesting coming from New England, where everything's kind of...
We got a fan walking up here. It's Mr. Mike Laracy.
With his ragged mountain gear on.
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
It's going great. I didn't think you were going to pull me over.
Over here, you want to sit down with us?
No, I feel like I'm getting trapped.
Here, everyone, say hi, talking to that.
I don't have a good radio voice.
Neither do I.
Oh, cool.
I sound like an
this
old
is Mike Laracy, one of our biggest fans.
Yes, that is correct.
Biggest fans.
Tallest.
I would say
Tallest
top
fan.
50%.
We've got at least 12.
Yeah, and height-wise, I am probably the
I know.
tallest.
I know. Paul Kirsch is your biggest fan.
Yeah, Paul Kirsch is a good guy too. But I can't hear anything in here, so
Oh, so
because of the background, you guys have those headphones on.
Fun fact, Mike is deaf in his left ear.
Another fun fact: I can move my left ear.
oh,
See? You see it?
So God giveth and God taketh away.
That's right. That's right. I'm gonna move on.
All right, bye, Mike.
Enjoyed talking with you guys.
All right, hopefully we'll get no more interruption.
That was very fishy. He moved his ear for us and left.
Mike doesn't fish or listen to the podcast, but he keeps asking me for a hat. So, yeah.
All right. So where was it?
You were talking about the weather, and you were
Yeah,
talking about
yeah,
why
yeah.
you might hire a guide to fish in
hire,
the river.
Hire a guide for efficiency. So
We're okay, thanks.
I definitely wanted to fish, but I was, holding back. I could have brought my own gear, all that, but I'm like, all right, let's check out the fly shop. Go in, talk to the guy. Typical fly shop, typical West, yeah, whatever you want to do, no problem. We'll figure it out. I'm like, how about last minute? Yeah, we'll figure it out. Very cool. So the girls wanted to go fat biking up a mountain, and there's no oxygen.
That sounds terrible, by the way.
Yeah, especially with it's only like 7,000 feet or something, but there's limited oxygen, so biking uphill, not for me.
Now, did it strike you, being an East Coaster, when you get out west? I have family out in Washington State, and we do a lot of trips out there. Does it strike you how big nature is versus out here? Like, you think like Mount Washington is big and our wilderness is big, and then you get out to the Rockies or out to Washington or out any of the West, and everything is bigger.
In some ways it does. It also disorients me, especially driving. Like, it's too open. Mm-hmm. So here, you go ski on one of these mountains. They're very jagged, and you're right up on, sheer faces. Out there, everything's wide open, and it's very different. In a way, I like the prettiness of these, but it's just massive, and it's just like in your face. So yeah, it's very different. I'm an East Coast kid, no matter what. I can't get it out of me, but.
But it's good to visit, and it's good to go and chase big fish. So you talked to the fly shop.
Yep.
Now, the flies in the shop, do they have like specialty flies that look just like Colorado? They're stoned.
Of course they do.
Yeah.
They had a big wall of flies, but we decided we had a couple options. We could go public water, we could go right in town, or they do whole new concept to me, private waters, which are human-owned ranches and places that are basically posted that other people can't get to. And
Right, because in New Hampshire and other places, we have water rights, which means there's no private waters. It means you can't own a body of water.
you can't own the ground in the river. You can't own the dirt in the river, whereas in Colorado, I believe if a rock sticks out of the water, that's private property. If you land on a rock and you're swimming, you're trespassing. But if you're in the water, I think is different. It's very strange.
Yeah, New Hampshire, if your feet are in the water, you're not trespassing.
Right. So
Yeah.
you can enter a stream anywhere and then walk through someone's property, but
Right
not there.
Well, the other thing in New Hampshire too, if it's not posted no trespassing, you also can walk through the property in New Hampshire. You can go anywhere you want, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
Just to know, I can go there.
And I believe it's the opposite there. It's assumed private unless you have permission.
Yeah. Well, you go out west too. It's get the gun, Marge.
Which I
We got
happens.
trespassers. They're gonna poach our fishes.
Well, and that's where it gets really interesting. So I'm like, yeah, let's try private water. It costs a little bit more, but he said, well, the ice just kind of receded about 2 days ago. It's been iced over all winter, so nobody's touched it. The big fish are probably in there, and they haven't been pressured. And so I'm like, my eyes are rolling back in my head, like, whoa, unpressured fish.
Now, when you think pressuring fish, I always think back to high school, like my first dates and stuff, and you park the car and you say things like, of course I love you, and
Is this because Bon Jovi's playing?
yeah,
in the
because I got Bon
background?
Jovi, I got thinking about high school.
You are from Jersey.
And I'm thinking about pressuring. Now you can't get away with that, but when I was a kid, you pressured girls into kissing you.
How did we digress?
It never got further than that because I was in high school and I was a nerd. But
You went home and read books.
I read.
Well, that didn't work. I might as well be a nerd.
Yeah, I might as well nerd out on something. So yeah, so pressuring fish is different than pressuring dates.
Not really.
No.
You keep trying to encourage them until they do what you want. I mean, it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's identical. You say sweet things to them. I won't tell anybody. We can just pretend we're friends.
Thanks for putting a hole in my lip.
Yeah, exactly. It won't hurt.
Put the net away. I don't like it.
I'll call you tomorrow.
This isn't going well.
It's going perfectly.
Me Too. The Me Too movement just broke.
I know. We just lost our 3 female fans.
Come on,
Sorry,
Doc Martin.
Yeah.
Come back. Nice.
So no pressure on these fish. No one's fishing for them except for people who are paying to do it, which means not very many people.
Right. There had been one group out the day before, and that's it. And you could tell because it was snowing, and we had to, we brought snowshoes. We didn't need them, but we had to hike back a little bit, which is nothing for me. But we get there, we walk up to the river. It's beautiful. It's like, a little bit of snow. And about the second we got the rod out, in came a blizzard, an absolute blizzard. Wind, cold, just the nastiest condition rolled right in.
And so you left.
Heck no. I threw in my line for 10 minutes. He was kind of guiding me. It was a weird setup. We were using a 7-weight with a really funky Scientific Angler's line that was very weight forward, so we didn't have to worry about heavy casting in the wind or hard casting. So at
Can you, for those of us who are fly fish stupid, what does weight forward mean?
So there's a million different lines now. It's kind of the spoon of the fly fishing communities. You can have a million different lines for different conditions.
So do you carry 10 reels with you when you go fishing?
Yeah, pretty much now. The rod's not so much, but the reels have gotten really important. But basically it's all about casting conditions. There's 2 types of line generally. There's floating line, obviously floats, and sinking line, which you get streamers and minnow patterns and stuff down deep. So those are the 2 kind of things. This time of year, even in Colorado, the water was 40 degrees or something like that, so the fish's metabolism was slow. So we didn't want to spin streamers, or we didn't want to throw big meat fast and strip it like a lure, because they just aren't, or they aren't aggressive. They're very passive because their metabolism's low. So we used a floating line, but this floating line has all its weight in the tip. So I don't know how to quite build an analogy, but all the weight, it's like if you tied a rock on the end of a string and threw the rock.
So you're saying the weight is forward?
Yeah. But not all lines are like that. It depends how they rig. But basically, if you chuck that one cast, it goes far and it goes straight, and it's pretty relentless. It's just a simple cast. So none of the river runs through it, stripping and moving your arm and wiggling it. It was pretty much just a toss.
Yeah, because it's funny, because I'm really good at the casting river runs through it. I can make it look really cool in pictures and stuff, but I can't make it land in the water.
Fish. Oh. It lands in the tree.
It lands out, and I certainly can't catch a fish on it. So you fish in there. You got the weight forward lines. What kind of flies are you using? Let's go right into the dirty, horrible fly fishing world.
Yep. So the best part about having a guide, besides information, is they tie your shit on when it's freezing cold.
That's a really as an ice fishing guide. And, I spent a lot of time where I can barely feel my fingers tying knots.
I felt really bad for the guy that I was with. He was the owner of a shop. His name was Rob. His gloves got wet. His hands were pink. I actually was worried about him surviving.
Well, it's a funny thing because I'm an ice fishing guide, and we don't get wet. And so I feel like fly fishing in the winter in a river is far more dangerous than ice fishing, and far harder to get warm.
There's no heat. There's no shelter.
You don't have a nice warm shed. No one's cooking a grill out for you.
Yep. You're waiting, so the water, even though the water is 40 degrees, it's moving. So you never.
There better be fish.
Well, that was step one.
Because with ice fishing, we're not always getting to fish, but with especially Silver Lake. But they
suck it, Silver Lake.
Yeah.
First few casts. Cold blizzard hit, came out of nowhere really, and nothing, not a tap. So this is the nervous part of the guide. The guide's nervous. I'm not going to catch anything. I'm nervous because
you don't even know.
Oh, I know because I get nervous just being the guest, because you're always like, am I going to fish well? Does he think I suck at casting?
I don't think about those. I never hired guides, so I don't know because I don't have any money.
Oh,
but as a guide, I feel sick until we get fish on top of the ice.
Oh yeah,
Luckily, I'm pretty good at getting fish on top of the ice, but I get nauseous, and when I see someone get almost skunked after 6 hours it hurts me.
And it happens.
It shouldn't happen, except for people don't friggin' listen.
And fish don't pay attention to what they're supposed to do.
Well, maybe too much pressure.
Just bite it.
Just bite the friggin' hook. So you're fly fishing.
Yep. So we started out, first spot, close, nice looking water.
And when you say water, like little stream, big river, what are we talking about?
I'd call it a medium-sized river. It had some deep holes, but it wasn't by any means a massive river. I don't know how to, maybe 40 feet wide tops. It's just not a big river.
There's music in this bar.
I love the 80s.
It's so high school. I'm just thinking, every time you anything you say, I just think of innuendos from the 80s. Like
Steve Perry?
Yeah, well, I'm thinking deep holes. I know that girl, too. It's... Like, I just keep thinking of
I might have
dumb
to,
jokes.
I might have to
because of the
retire
music.
from this podcast.
I'm sorry.
Deep hole.
You're welcome.
Oh, I got to compose
There
myself.
might be some editing.
That's what you said last time, and there was no editing.
There's always editing.
The tinned fish editing.
I edited a lot of that.
Oh.
But anyway, let's get back to this.
All right, so we're big rod, heavy line, heavyweight forward line, dropped off. Very simple rig, a bobber, which fly guys call a strike indicator, but it's a bobber. A stone fly, a big honking stone fly, because they have
Which kind? Like Pearl a Day? Who are you using here?
Pearl a Day?
You don't know Pearl a Day? It's my favorite stonefly.
Stonefly? Oh, you going into genus and species?
Well, it's the only one I know, and it's super big yellow one with stripes on it.
Oh, no.
No,
Green.
I used to do studies on macroinvertebrate studies, and we had to count macroinvertebrates. And the big stoneflies, pearlies, are my favorites. And
they're yellow?
yeah, they're big on a yellowish brown with like bumblebee stripes on the back.
So I think we call them golden stones.
Well,
The
probably.
yellow.
I don't know. I didn't use them for fly fishing. I was learning about water quality. So.
Oh. Yeah, and that is one thing. Stones are found in good quality water. So Colorado's still got good quality water.
Yeah.
Lucky bastards. But stonefly, and then we dropped off. I can't remember what we did the first time, but this first run we weren't catching fish. And then he switched it up and he put on an egg, which, and this is new to me, and some fly guys probably know about this, but the bead rig, it's not really an egg. Like when I use an egg fly fishing, it's a hook with a little bit of felt that you kind of shave into an egg shape.
Yeah, it looks like a little pom-pom.
Yeah, it's a pom-pom.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is. But these guys, and I guess it's Alaska technique or something like that, but it's an actual bead, and then the bead is secure on the line, on the tippet. And then below the bead, about 2 inches, you hang a hook. So
A bear hook.
A bear hook. It dangles, which is intriguing to me because if the fish bites at the egg, they're not necessarily biting the hook, but I guess the way
Well,
that
that's like a
designed-
hair rig for carp fishing.
Yeah, it's
Same concept.
Same concept.
The hook is floating free.
Yep, and I know guys in New York do this for salmon and stuff like that. Ooh, Angel's a centerfold. But that was new to me, and whatever it was killing. As soon as we switched water, suddenly I was like, first fish on, and it was little. It was like 12 inches big.
By the way, that a 12-inch fish in
I know.
February is so exciting.
I know.
It's so cool. You were happy right then.
I was
I can
like-
go home now.
Yeah, we broke the seal.
And you're fishing for steelhead or rainbow
Well,
trout.
well, there's three things. There's rainbow trout, there's browns in there, and then the cutthroat, even though they're extinct, I don't quite understand this. They've bred with the rainbows, so they call them cutbows.
I like that name.
Yeah, I don't know where, but you can tell because they've got the red blaze on their neck, which is pretty cool, but
Okay.
they call them cutbows.
I like it. Now, are those hybrids to the point where, like, are they mules? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you look at some fish, like tiger trout, for example, can't reproduce. They're a mule.
Nope,
So-
I think these can actually. Some of them are hatchery fish. Some of them do breed wild, and then there's one strain which we caught a couple of, which they refer to as ranch donkeys. And these are basically the, if I understood it correctly, the ranchers can get their own license or permit to stock their own water in their backyard, which I don't think you can do here.
You can. You can do that.
You can do that?
You
Okay,
sure
it has
can,
to be
yeah.
from an approved hatchery, but these guys that own ranches also like to fish, so they like to put in their own fish in their private water. And I guess every time they stock, they put in a couple of these monster, hairy, whatever, just ridiculous sized fish for themselves. And
You can't blame them. You would, too.
I would too, yeah. And they go
Isn't it
deep.
weird, though? Like, imagine you own the body of water, and you go to the local hatchery, and you pick the fish, and you put them in the water that you're going to catch. So
Yes.
you've bought the fish that you're going to catch and put them in the water. So it's like getting a pet, letting it go, and then hunting it.
And then, I don't know, and I think it's catch
It's
and release
bizarre.
only, so you can't even eat the fish you bought, even though
Well,
it's
but
your
private
fish.
waters, there's rules on private waters. You own the water, you bought the fish, and you can't eat it,
I don't know.
or it's catch and release only because the people bought the fish, and there's no way you're going to kill my pet.
Yeah,
You're not going to kill little Ralphie,
the ranch donkey.
the ranch dog, Ralphie,
So yeah,
Dominic.
these big
Dominic the ranch donkey.
slobs, these ranch donkeys, I guess, go down deep and they just sit there, and it was amazing because we were fishing this bobber rig, and my bobber would barely go under the water. It was almost like it ticked bottom, and under it is this gigantic slob, just thick looking. We'll see some pictures of it, but oh my God, these fish were monstrous, and they're just sitting there nipping eggs off the bottom. Apparently, the rainbows were spawning, and this was.
So they're eating rainbow eggs.
Yeah.
There's not sucker spawn. There's not something else happening.
I heard there was suckers, but that's what they were after.
The sucker spawn happens a little bit warmer water temperature than that.
Yeah, and then I don't think this was sucker territory, though. I think they were there.
Of course it is.
They're everywhere.
Everywhere is sucker territory.
And a couple fish I missed were smaller and silver, and I was like, what the hell's that? What is that? I want to know what that is, and I missed both of them. And he's like, oh, that's a whitefish. And I was like,
it's no big deal.
I'm like, oh my God, I never
trout.
caught a whitefish.
Give me a whitefish.
And he goes, oh, I didn't know you wanted to catch whitefish. He's like, there's tons of them in here. And I'm like,
give me the fly.
Well, we did try for them. The whitefish go in, they school together, and they live in faster currents.
What kind of whitefish?
I don't know. White
for God's
ones.
sake, just learn something.
The white ones.
You're correspondent. I'm paying you the big bucks.
Rainbow.
Or you're paying me.
Cutbow. Only trout matter. You gotta understand.
I know. I've been following all the Native Trout Coalition stuff, and they only care about trout.
Oh, trout, yeah. Same thing out west. It was interesting. Like whitefish, nope, didn't care.
Trout people are starting to piss me off. I'm just saying that. I'm going to put it out there right now. I love trout, but I don't love trout people. I like trout people. I don't love them.
They're kind of like triathletes. My wife's a triathlete, and they're very anal, annoying, and
right. They're right all the time. They know everything.
Yeah.
They're so good at being right.
Yeah.
That's what it is. They know it all.
The trout.
They know everything.
Here were whitefish. I didn't even know, but I think I hooked a couple, but for some reason I couldn't catch them.
It's funny because Vinny told me the other day he hooked a fish that he'd never felt before in Silver Lake. And he knows down deep, he knows it wasn't a sucker, it wasn't a perch, it wasn't a trout. And he's thinking it had to be a whitefish.
That's some psychic fishing shit right there when you can guess the fish.
You know, Vinny, he doesn't do anything else but sit in that stupid lake not catching fish. So
he felt something, and it wasn't a laker.
And it didn't match anything he knew.
Yeah.
Because you get a feel for when you feel fish fight, you know it sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
You know, trout people can actually tell rainbow from brown sometimes.
Yeah. You can, yeah. Depending on the time of year. But that was what was awesome about these fish in Colorado versus I've winter fished here, and the fish don't move much. You hook them, you just drag them in. They're like, dude, I'm sleeping. It's friggin' cold. I don't like it.
Have you been in this water? It never warms up around here in our rivers. The rivers are always stupid cold.
Yeah. But these fish were on fire. They were spinning around. They were going around us, between us, on top of us. It was pretty awesome. So these huge ass fish. So after about the 10th one or something, I just looked at the guide like, is it like this all the time? Because this is ridiculous. It's almost like too easy.
It's the best day ever. Don't you want, like this is always my problem with being a guide, is I want it to be too easy.
Yeah.
I mean, how cool would it be if you hire someone to go on a trip, instead of doing a 6-hour day of fishing, it's a 2-hour day of fishing. And you catch all the fish you want, and you're happy, and you go home. That's how it should be.
Unless you're me. I just keep going.
Just push through.
No, even if I'm catching fish, like, I don't stop once I start.
Well, because time goes by faster.
Well, I like it.
It's fun.
Even if I'm skunked, then I just keep going because I don't want to be skunked, and then I get angry. But when it's going well, then I kind of chill out. Like, oh yeah, the fish hook, it shook the hook. Who cares? You know, you can't get a little mellow.
Well, it's funny because like I think a few weeks ago I went live on Facebook catching fish, and it was like I don't do that normally very often because the fishing is never that good.
Yeah.
But like when the fishing is good, to go live on a video stream, that's confidence in the fishery, right? That's like, oh my God, I finally found a whole bunch of fish and they're biting. And
I thought about doing that, but then I know I'd drop my phone in and then I'd get pissed and then I'd ruin the fishing trip.
And the effort to put the video on wrecks the fishing. So,
right.
So you're catching these fish.
And I'm like
cutthroats. You're catching rainbows.
Cutbows.
Cutthroats.
I don't think cutthroats are there.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically at one point I just go, dude, is it like this all the time? Because this is ridiculous. And he's like, no, it's not. He's like, we hit the right time. They like, which is really interesting, they like the snow. It was snowing.
Well, it's a low pressure.
Pressure and it's cover. So like bright sunny days, like the day I was ogling the river, he said doesn't fish well at all because I can see you.
Well, bright sunny days are also high pressure.
Yeah.
The fish can see you anyway. That's such bullshit. Like the fish know you're there. They don't care. They're raising a hatchery around people. They don't care that you're there. That's pretend. It's nothing to do with you. You're too much ego's too big for this.
I was talking to the fish with Fish Talk, and they said that I surprised them. they knew.
There was fish talk, like Dory.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
I talked to them. But yeah, he said, no, we caught it at the right time, unpressured water. They're spawning. He was a little surprised. And then at some point, he said, oh, let's switch it up. Let's put on a San Juan worm. And if anybody doesn't
why
know,
switch? The fish are biting. Like, I would have fired him.
No, I think I don't know. I was all for it.
I would not have fired him. Let's pretend I would not have.
Except I've never had luck with San Juan worms. It's pretty much just a chenille worm. It looks like an earthworm.
Oh, that's my best fly. I've tied that.
Everybody
and I've
can catch fish on them. Yeah, except me. I never have had luck. So he switched that over, and he said, "Yeah, the water's eroding the banks. I could see piles of trees and shrubs floating down. So the worms are probably in the water." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." But I don't do well with worms. And he's like, "Yeah, try it. You'll kill it." And 10 minutes later, no fish. I'm like, "No, let's put the egg back on."
And so you did not, yeah.
And went right back to.
So the theory on that is so out there the road the big fields of grass.
Yep, with some aspen trees and some other weird.
And so
trees.
the rain comes down, washes the worms out in the soil. These are like night crawlers. Or earthworms of some sort.
Yeah.
Into the rivers, and that's what the fish are feeding on. That's the theory.
That's the theory. And,
I love this. So I was talking about this to you earlier. So it's big fields of grass. Grasses aren't native to North America.
Right.
Right? Night crawlers or earthworms, not North American natives.
Right.
And then you're fishing for these fish that are native to California. So not native fishes. So you get this like big like invasive loop of things happening. You're just loving invasives.
Which is the trout fisher's dilemma. Is there's a whole book on it, an entirely artificial world that we live in. And,
so pretend. I love it.
And
it's so like human.
It's very human. Now, if the cutthroat were in this, they're not in this river. They're in places, but they might be a native fish but they're gone. They're pretty much wiped out. But because there's ranch donkeys out there taking all their resources.
Well, because humans suck at taking care of native things because we're invasive.
Yeah.
And everything we do is invasive, and we have to just kind of get used to that.
And trout are better.
And trout are... Freaking how I hate them.
But I was just like, I was in awe at the size of these fish. So after about 20-something, stopped counting. I know Mike Steffen will not believe me because I didn't take exact number of pictures or count. But
yeah, you need a photo of every fish. It doesn't count
with a time stamp.
Yeah, well, because it could be the same fish twice. We've seen you fish. We know that this is not a thing.
And I lie, like all fishermen. But I have.
I learned recently
that I lie.
No. Look, so like think about this. Do you think fish? One more. I gotta leave at 3:45.
All right, 15
minutes. I'm not gonna make it. 3:55.
What did you just learn?
I don't know what time it is. All right, what's the edit point?
Oh, did we finish our story?
So we're talking about invasives,
which are great.
Yeah. Okay.
If you're a trout fisherman.
All right. So you're catching all these fish, 20, 30 at a time, 40. 50.
Yeah, that's
60 fish. End of the day with 80 some. Oh, I was telling you about how it's not a lie when you tell fish stories. If everyone knows you're lying,
yes,
it's not a lie.
It's cultural.
It's culture. Everyone bullshit. Knows that you're telling fish stories, so therefore,
it's okay.
It's real.
It's what you believe.
And on this podcast, we are mostly true. It's right in our title.
I still believe fishing is what you perceive and believe. So if you think it was 18 inches, it was 20.
So these cutthroats, they look just like rainbows to me in the photos you sent.
And rainbows and cutbows.
And you kept sending them to me the whole time you were out there. And I think when you were out there, I was on the ice not catching fish.
Yes, because I've been the other side of it.
Yeah, and I was a little bit jealous of that. And I was actually a little bit super happy for the guide who took you. What was the name of the guide service?
Steamboat Fly Fisher. They're one of the biggest. There's only 16 guides on staff, he said, in the summer. I mean, it's a busy place, but what was most interesting to me was the sheer size of these fish, and I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, they stock them this big. He's like, no, they stock them 8-10 inches just like home. And I'm like, well, what the hell's the deal?
Worms.
Well, worms, leeches, and crayfish. That water gets very warm. He said up to 70 degrees in the summer. And I said, well, the trout can't survive. And he said, when there's that much food, they can survive.
Well, it's not food. It's also oxygen, dissolved oxygen. So there must be enough riffles to give the oxygen
to the
water.
Yeah, there really isn't.
But there has to be. It can't be. Look, So let me send you to space, and I'm going to deplete oxygen from you. And I'm going to say, oh, don't worry, I got a hamburger. And you're going to be okay? It can't be food only. It has to be
we're gonna
oxygen.
have to figure
as well.
this out.
I just did. I just told you.
But because these fish
I know stuff.
aren't that big here. And they're stocked the same.
But there's no food.
There's no food. That's why
I've snorkeled the Saco River where we live up here. There is nothing in that
That's why
river.
I'm so impressed. But he said if you wet wade in the summer, within 2 minutes you got leeches up and down your legs. So they've got meat that gives them this bulk, and that's my biggest takeaway.
And do you notice there's no brook trout there?
No brook
So rainbows and browns are known. Thank you. We need a check too, please. And rainbows and browns are known to be able to handle some pretty warm waters, as long as there's enough dissolved oxygen, and it requires riffles or some other source of oxygen. So plants can do it, and other things as well. So, or even deep cold pools.
Which, that's interesting. I didn't think about oxygen as much as I did heat and food.
Yeah. And the heat, by the way, allows for growth.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if you look at like any other fishery, if you find like bass, for example, and you go down to like Florida or you go down to Tennessee or Alabama, and you get 6-pound bass, that's normal. You get to New Hampshire, we don't get them that often, the 6 pounds, because the water's too cold. It retards the growth of the fish.
Oh, so that hot water actually helps them.
It helps them, but it has to, for trout, has to be highly oxygenated, super clean water. So you know it's clean because your stoneflies are there. You know it's highly oxygenated and full of food because you got large fish.
Huh.
So it has to be. There's no. It has to be.
How do you assess the oxygen level of water? Is there a way to do
I bet you if you go to the Department of Environmental Services website for that local state, you can find dissolved oxygen levels. They measure those things. It's all part of normal fish studies that they do.
That's interesting.
So they do river shocking inventories. They do dissolved oxygens. They measure for different chemicals and heavy metals in all the waters in the country. So they know these things.
Yep. And I know in summer here, the fish are always in the falls because the oxygen churns up in the riffles.
And I bet you that's not that different there. But it might not take as much as you think to add more dissolved oxygen to the water. It doesn't have to be a giant waterfall. Little riffles can do it.
And there is a famous dam upriver that I guess is like a tourist destination, like wall-to-wall people.
If it's got a trickle of water come over the top of it all the time, at least, it's going to add oxygen to it, so they'll be okay.
Huh.
But not brook trout.
No brook trout.
Nope. But Atlantic salmon can handle some high water temperatures, surprisingly.
Just not anything else.
Just
Not dams.
nothing can survive a dam.
So, but that was my big takeaway: is there's food, and especially when I fish up here, I catch 4-inch, 6-inch fish, and I'm like, woohoo, they're beautiful, and everyone's like,
You're so happy.
yeah, but that's why I've always known that these rivers are sterile up here. There's some caddis and there's some mayflies and maybe a stonefly here or there, but there's nothing. So that's it.
That's it. Good stuff. It makes me want to go travel and fish. In fact, I've been invited to go to Colorado and go fishing with listeners, so we do have fans out there.
Yeah, so what I wanted to know is if anybody else fishes Colorado. I don't think the Yampa is a destination river. I think it's more of a tourist river because, I know Wyoming and those places have these amazing fish, but I'm curious if anybody fishes it or knows it.
Well, my friend Kelly, I went to high school in New Jersey with, she moved to Colorado afterwards, and her husband's a big fly fisher out there, and I keep getting photos of giant trout and him and invitations to go out there and fish. So and when I get my big fish nerds money someday,
Nice.
I'm going to go out there and do some trouting, and I'm going to do some fishing too, some fly fishing. Someday I'm going to get good at fly fishing, which reminds me. Let's talk a little bit about. We're going to move on from this.
Yeah, okay.
I got a new topic.
We've got a few minutes.
All right, so I'm buying a fishing boat. This is a big fish nerds announcement right now. We haven't closed yet, so it's going to totally
Release the kraken.
It's going to be screwed up before this podcast release because I'm talking about it out loud. However, my wife and I, and my father-in-law are buying a giant fishing boat, a fishing pontoon barge.
Ooh, a party boat.
A party boat. And we're going to be offering family-friendly fishing adventures for the fish nerds.
But you're calling it a fishing boat, but it's a party boat.
It's a party boat, but it has a state-of-the-art fish finder on it. It's got a trolling motor. It's got a fishing deck in the front. It's got captain's chairs in the back for fishing. And it's just...
Does it have a fly casting platform?
A fly casting deck in the front.
Whoa.
And so I am fantasizing about taking out on Ospey Lake and using the state-of-the-art technology we have, find the big schools of white perch and fly fishing for white perch on Ossipee Lake. Doesn't that sound fun?
Fly fishing?
For white perch. It'd be just like fly fishing for striped bass, only smaller.
That's interesting.
Are you buying me beer?
I'll buy you beer.
I'm so happy.
You're buying a boat, though.
Yes, which means you can come
there
out.
You go. That's why you get a beer.
And the reason we talked a lot about this, and one of my favorite things about ice fishing guiding is bringing groups out fishing. I love catering to people. I like bringing people out.
I know, which is the scary part for me.
I love it. I love groups of people. I like making them comfortable. I like feeding them. I like talking to them. I like
telling them stories.
Tell them stories. And if I was a guide where I had a bass boat, I might be bringing 1 or 2 anglers at a time out.
Right, yeah.
So now I can bring...
I want to be social.
So now you got a family like, let's say you're a dad or a mom and you love fly fishing or fishing, open water fishing, and you don't like you don't want to leave your family behind. You just book us for a trip and you get a pontoon boat. So you can sit and read a book while your wife fishes, and you can get a suntan, or your kids can fish, or they can jump off the boat in the front while you fish out of the back, or vice versa.
It's a good idea. No, I'm surprised more people don't do it.
Well, they do it all over the country except for New Hampshire. So, which guarantees you other fishing guides in New Hampshire are going to get pissed off at the fish nerds for doing something different once again.
Yep, and you're going to do it wrong.
I'm blacklisted already from all the fish. Yep. All the guides in New Hampshire have stopped talking to me already.
That's because of you.
It is because of me. It's because I'm friendly to people that don't.
There's big guide parties, and they don't.
I always feel like I'm left out of everything.
No Clay Grove.
So anyway, that's what's coming up for us, and that means we're getting the boat in April. So we're going to drop in Silver Lake in April for salmon.
Oh, Silver Lake.
Yeah.
There's so many better places to go.
But it's so close to us. We're right here. Thank you. It's so close to us, and in the fall, vertical jigging for lake trout in the fall on Silver Lake. But all summer, white perch, bass, pickerel,
there's no fish
trouts in Ossipee, salmon.
Although it's a pretty lake, you will have the pretty.
Well, I'm also going to be offering sunset cruises, which will be the easier money than fishing. I'll probably make a lot more money on cruises than I will on fishing.
Aren't there eagles too?
There's eagles, all the things. So wait, have you ever bought a brand new boat?
No, hell no.
It makes you want to nosh. It makes you want to vomit. It's so freaking scary.
I'm not. Are you crazy?
You know how much boats cost?
Yeah.
$1 million.
Plus, and then you get cheap electronics that cost $1 million plus too. So.
I know, it's so funny though. I went to a boat dealer and they said, "Oh, you're gonna love this. We got this great fishing boat, and then for just $600 more, we'll throw in a Garmin Striker 4." And I said to the guy, "Garmin Striker 4. I use that for ice fishing. That retail price, Amazon right now, $109.
Well, it's not installed.
So $500 to install a thing, which I can do in 10 minutes.
This is installed perfectly.
Yeah, by certified techs, by Garmin techs, apparently. So I said it to the guy. He goes, "Well, you have to consider the cost of the transducer." And I said, "Do you know that they come with a transducer?"
But is it mounted?
He goes, "Well, we drill holes in the boat and mount it." And so then I started thinking, Jesus, what else on my boat am I marking up to a point?
Everything.
So I didn't buy that boat from that dealer. I bought a different boat from a different dealer, and when he sold me, thank you. And when he sold me on the sonar, I didn't look up the real price on it.
Oh,
That's
a good salesman.
Well, I decided I didn't want to know.
That is a better
because
way.
I can't afford to buy it on my own, but I can afford it wrapped up in the payments. So
this is why I don't have a boat. Every time I sit down to analyze the cost versus return, I go, "Holy shit!"
Well, and the advantage is I'm a guide.
Yeah.
And so my clients will hopefully pay for the boat, and then you and friends and family can go out and do the fun parts of the boat, which is catch fish.
Which is why I'm not a guide, because all the guides take me out fishing.
But you sure do hang out with a lot of guides.
I do.
You are smarter than most. Yeah.
I got a lot of guide friends.
Why not? Why not?
Except they're always busy in peak fishing seasons. I always get their shit.
Silver Lake shit. I'm not going there again. So, hey, let's talk about guiding for a second here. We have a few minutes left. So I want to talk a minute about tourism.
Tourism.
So I live in the Mount Washington Valley here in Conway, New Hampshire. Big tourist industry. The number one draw here, what do you think it is? Why people visit the valley? Number one.
I want to say skiing, but I don't think it is.
To make another guess. Not skiing. I guarantee it's not skiing.
Hiking, swimming.
Nope.
Drinking.
Nope. But part of it is where we're located right now. We're in a district called Settlers Green. This is the shopping is the number one draw to the Mount Washington Valley. The people sitting around us at this bar right now are
People are so vain.
Hopefully my clients this summer.
There's not even good shopping.
I don't know. If we're honest, I can buy clothes at outlets cheaper than Walmart and better quality, but I don't care. I have a house fairy. I just announce I need pants, and they show up. I don't know where they come from. I couldn't tell you what store they come from.
Well, I like the Eddie Bauer outlet here, and I think that's about it.
There's an Orvis outlet.
Yeah, but it's all closed.
Yeah, I've never been inside. I have no idea.
I don't like... Yeah.
I can't afford fishing clothes, so I don't know. But skiing is number 2. Okay? Skiing is a big draw.
Yes.
And so we've had a weird winter with very like a lot of snow and then big heat and then a lot of snow and then big heat and a lot of snow and then big heat, which melts all the snow, and the
it makes ice.
It makes ice, and so we've had great ice fishing, like ice on the lakes.
There's tons of ice.
It's like 2 feet thick, and it's a big party next to us, making all kinds of noise. It's super thick ice. It's super fun to fish on. And then I've got, it's March, best month to ice fish. The fish are getting hungry. The fish spawn. They're hungry.
Starting to get the metabolism.
Yeah, it's water's warming up a little bit. And like 1 or 2 degrees makes all the difference. And it's getting there. And then on the news this week, they announced, attention, ice fisher people.
Oh, yeah, I saw this.
Stay off the ice. The recent warming temperatures have made the ice uneven and unsafe. Do not go on the ice.
Which they did last year, too, I
They
think.
did. And so I had trips booked today. I should have been ice fishing, and my clients canceled today because the news said, don't go ice fishing.
Right, because someone's truck fell through because they were out driving around on the ice where they shouldn't be.
Yeah. They said, do not go ice fishing. And the ski areas are announcing, we got tons of fresh new snow. Come on out. Meanwhile, you went fishing. You went skiing today.
Yeah, and it was icy.
It's icy. Like, how is skiing more safe than ice fishing?
Well, and this is because ski resorts advertise and spend a lot of money to make the positive spin, right?
All right, so we need an ice fishing lobby. We need the IRA.
Lobby.
No, not the IRA.
Yeah, no, bad name, bad choice.
Bad name.
International Ice, IIF something.
I don't know. We need some organization to say, hang on a minute.
The ice is safe.
The ice is not safe. We never say that, but the ice is safer than most of the things you do.
Safer than driving.
Driving is the most dangerous thing you're ever going to do in your life.
Shopping is, you can get Friday.
You can get divorced from shopping. Don't go shopping.
You always get in a fight.
Skiing, you're putting pieces of Teflon on your shoes
And there's
and
trees.
there's gravity.
And other people.
Like, everything else is more dangerous than ice fishing, especially ice fishing with a guide. Like, we go out, we know the ice. You're probably not going to die.
Probably.
Well, funny thing yesterday, so we went fishing with this group of Iranians yesterday. It's the greatest. We had so much fun. So much fun. They fished so hard. They caught fish. They even caught lake trout in Silver Lake.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, these guys from a very warm climate caught lake trout in Silver Lake.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was great.
Chocolatey brown?
Beautiful. At the end of the day, it was a beautiful day. There was no wind at all. We're wrapping up, and a blizzard rolls in. We literally couldn't see 35 feet in front of us.
That old gag. Blizzard.
Yeah, so I'm bringing the guys back to the cars. The very last trip, Vinny's got his sled lined up, full of gear. I got my sled. I got a client on the back of my sled with me. Vinny takes off in the wrong direction. And his sled is faster than mine. I don't know by how much. Mine's a 600, his is 650.
And he just learned all about navigation.
Well, he wasn't using it. He went off in the exact wrong direction. So we're trying to catch him. We're yelling, "You Vinny, wrong way." He went like a half a mile on the lake the wrong way.
He was sightseeing.
He was totally sightseeing. It was impossible to get his attention.
Or was it declination?
He was using, the North Pole was off by 12 degrees. So we couldn't find it. But yeah, anyway.
Well, that's the hiking thing. You can know everything, but when you can't see, you lose all your resources.
You got no bearings, but Vinny lost his bearings too. We had a great time though, caught fish.
And didn't die.
And didn't die. And then my client's day canceled.
Because of, I saw the state announce snowmobiling in particular, don't put your sleds on the ice.
And we were on 18 inches of ice. Doesn't sound terrible. And all the edges have firmed up.
That is fascinating because no one says, especially here at a mountain that starts with A in the valley that's always icy, no one says it's icy as shit, you're going to die. Yeah. And then all I do is see stretchers of people being carried off the mountain when I know that you shouldn't even be skiing because it's so icy.
It is. All right, so one more quick thing, and then I'm going to finish the show without you.
Yay.
We got most of the way through.
Kicked off.
You do. You get kicked off.
Beer.
But I do actually, while I got you here, since you bought me beer, I also want to thank you, thank you, Vinny. I love you, Vinny. Thanks, Rich.
Even though you don't listen to the show.
He never listens, which is probably better off, because I talk about him all the time. But I want to thank you and Thirst Productions for supporting the podcast through Patreon. You guys are now an official sponsor of the show.
Us and Lopes Tax.
Yeah, you and LopesTax.com sponsoring the podcast. In a few minutes, I'm going to do a big giant giveaway. I'm going to draw a bunch of names out of the hat. I have a prize package to give away for Patreon supporters.
Nice.
And we'll do that in a few minutes. But can you talk about about Thirst Productions?
I can.
It's not about drinking water.
No, and I'll tell you the whole story. I noticed my credit card expired.
You got like 4 minutes because I got to pick my kid up from
I was looking at something on Patreon, and it was like all these messages, like your credit card expired, and like 20 messages from you, like nicely saying update it. And I'm like, I haven't been paying. I've been riding the wave and being a freeloader. So I'm like, all right, $25. I gotta get some. It's tax time.
And for those who don't know, Patreon is how we fund our podcast. We are supported by listeners. Most people were asking for $1 an episode, $4 a month to help us fund the show. It makes a difference.
And it's all automatic. It's like you don't see it, you don't feel it.
$4 a month, it's kid stuff.
It just comes out of your bank account until you change your credit card, and then it doesn't work, and Clay's not getting paid, and you feel guilty, and you're like,
I know. And my only goal is to take my wife out for dinner.
That's what he says.
I know. I never take her out.
Free beer.
Have you hung out with her? She's terrible.
She doesn't like
Just
me.
kidding. She's not terrible.
But yeah, I don't advertise much. Most of my business is word of mouth. But I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's contribute. So, and the reason being is I want to do websites and search engine optimization and that for guides and fishing related industries.
I should hire you.
However, nobody in that industry seems to have any money.
No, I did a little math on this today. If I want to make $40,000 a year at what I charge for fishing right now, I would need to lead 333 trips a year.
Yes, I can do the math.
I did that math.
So I don't have a guide's license.
I took all the expenses and what it costs to go per trip.
Yes.
333 trips a year. So my only way of making money on top is fish every day, which sounds great, and the podcast. Yeah. So a little bit of money, and it adds up a little bit from each person, makes a big difference. So Thirst Productions, and you've been at this for a long time.
Yeah, I've been a tech guy for a long time, but I've only been working on my own. It's my own company for like 2 years, I think. And the whole world has changed. I did social media exclusively for a while, but it's changed. It's gone. It's dead. So the whole world's changed and nobody knows what to do. So I'm doing a lot more search engine optimization. I'm redoing websites affordably versus, spending 20 grand because they only last about 2 years and they're done. And maintenance. Nobody maintains their site. And it's like putting something out to shrivel and die.
Yeah, which is what I do.
That's what I do. I mean, if you go to my website, I haven't updated it. It's like still dated 2015, but you do what you do.
You do it. So what's your website?
ThirstProductions.com.
And sincerely, like it means a lot that you're supporting us, not just with the money, but like the fact that you've been hanging out with us and being part of the show.
That's part of it.
And
I get perks.
It's perks, and we're nice to you because we like you, but
we're freeloaded for 5 years or something.
I know, been a long time actually, and but we're like this with all of our fans. Like that's I would challenge any other fishing podcast to be more involved with their audience than the Fish Nerds. And if they are, call me, and I want to be your friend too. And I just found a new podcast called the Spiro Podcast.
Uh-oh.
It's a spearing fishing podcast out of, I think, New Zealand.
Spearing.
It's called the Spiro Podcast. There's also one called, like, the Tinny Fishy Stories or something like that, or Tinny Fishes out of Australia or Adelaide or something like that.
I also feel guilty about the tinned fish episode. That was
I just feel
scarring.
I feel terrible just physically about that one. So we got to wrap up now because I got to pick up my kid from Beauty and the Beast practice. And we'll wrap the show up after we get back. All right, and we're back at a more quiet location. The first half of this podcast was recorded at at a bar, a very busy bar in North Conway called Barley Salt. And now we're back with the second kind of half or third or eighth or 16th or whatever you want to call it. We don't know. We don't do fractions so good here at Fish Nerds World Headquarters. We're actually in my basement now, and you can see this is live on Facebook. And you can see we're here. And welcome everybody here. And the reason we're doing this live event, and we're going to do this live event once a month, is I want to thank our supporters for supporting the podcast. This podcast, we've been making this for a long time. This is episode number 190. So I've made 190 hours. 190 hours of podcasting for our listeners. And we do it for free every single week, an hour a week. So 1 hour podcasting means about 6 hours of work for me on average, sometimes more, rarely less. And thankfully, we have listener support. We have a crowdfunding site called patreon.com where listeners can voluntarily give us $1 an episode and help support the show. So listeners that give $1 an episode, $4 a month, that's huge for us. Listeners that give us $2 a month, they get a little Fish Nerds hoorag. At $5, they get a Fish Nerds hat. At $25, I'll mention your business on the show. We have two $25 donors. The first you've already heard from Rich Collins from Thirst Productions. And the second one is Josh Lopes from LopesTax.com, also supporting the show at $25. He actually gets customers from being part of our show. You should too. Really exciting. But let me just show you Patreon real quick, and then I'm going to show you what we're going to give you for our prizes this month. So this is the Patreon website. You go to patreon.com/fishnerds, and it looks like this. And you can just scroll down, you can watch a little video, and you can hit become a patron. Click that button and give us $1. Right now we're making $96 per episode. Our first goal is $100 a week, which is not a lot of money in the scope of things, but it's a lot of money for a podcast, and it really makes a big difference in keeping this going. And we really appreciate all of our supporters. And, you know, our show shows up here. It's a little private news feed for you. It looks like a little social media action. But it's a really big deal. And without this, we would not have a podcast. That's really important to say. There's no way we can make this. The show costs a couple $100 a month to produce. And my time is valuable. And someday, I'm going to make enough money to take my wife out for dinner. So don't tell her I said that. But it's going to happen. And also, I'm drinking a beer. No one has to know that either. And it's good. Okay, so here's the prizes tonight. So I took all the donors we have so far. I don't care if they're giving $1 or $25. And I put their name into this little bucket here. A little wooden bucket. All kinds of names in there. 20-some-odd people who are giving us money. Some have given us hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars to the show. All in the hat here. And I'm going to do this every month. So if you sign on to Patreon now, you'll be in next month's drawing. Here's what I'm giving away. It's exciting. First thing, a book that I almost read. I almost read this book. I even tore it a little bit. And it's called Winning Life's Lotteries. And we met the author. He was on our show a few weeks ago. And his name is Steve Whitman. He's a Maine guide. And it's all about how he was shot and left in the woods to die. I'm sure it's great. I haven't read it. I don't read so much. But it's got lots of words, no pictures. So that's the first thing in the prize box. Second thing in the prize box, we've got a little box of flies from Post Fly Box. I can't figure out why I'm a member of this Fish of the Month Club. I don't fly fish very often. I don't even know what to do with these things. But they could be yours today just by being a Patreon supporter. Also, we've got from Loaded for Bass, we've got these little sudden impact baits. I don't know what to do with these either, but you might, and they're going to be yours. So they're going in the prize package. Also, we also have a pocket rod rest. You stick this on your pocket and you can rest your fishing rod in it. This might be the next big thing. Might not. I don't know. I like it. You can have it. But I'm not done. I'm not done yet. There's more. This is very exciting. Also have from Daddy Mac Lures. Look, it's a duck. It's a duck. It waddles in the water. It catches fish from Daddy Mac Lures. They gave me this to give to you. It's a great little lure. I'd love to see a bass or something something on here. So really fun. And hi, Lycan. Lycan says, way to go selling those prizes. I'm not a very good salesperson. Finally, though, this is the big one. Big prize. Big finish. I have a Fish Nerds baseball hat. Ooh. This is guaranteed to hide your bald spot. Also, it's a very nice looking embroidered cap. It's just like the one I wear every day. Less sweat because it's not on my head. Nice leather band on the back from Adam's Hat Company. Printed locally here in Conway, New Hampshire. So Fish Nerds hat. So all this prize package, total value. Let's see. Hat's worth $20 I sell these for. This is a $6 lure at $26. This is $5 with $31, $4, $35, another $5 worth of flies, so $40 and a $10 book. So a prize package worth $50. You ready for this? And no, I'm not giving away my Angler's Pint glass with the brook trout on it. I'm drinking that beer. That's good beer. All right, so prize time. Here we go. Shaking the box. Hang on, there's someone knocking at my door. Come on in. Who is it? Come on in, Sam. Sam's here. Sam, come sit here next to me here. This is perfect, Sam, because we're live on Facebook. Hi. Hi, Zoe's here too. I'm going to have... Hi. Okay. Sam, I'm going to have you draw out a name out of here. And let's see. What does that name say? Oh my gosh. So that goes to Sue Nelson, my mother-in-law. And just so you see, no shenanigans. My mother-in-law won the big prize package this month. Here's the good news. If you're subscribing to the podcast through Patreon, your name goes back in the hat for next month. So Sue's going to win this prize package. Her name goes back in the hat. And she can win it again next month. You can win it every time. So there it is. Go to patreon.com/fishnerds, patreon.com/fishnerds. Help us crowdfund this show. It makes a difference. Maybe someday I'll put little Sam through college here. Or maybe not. We don't know. But thank you so much. And let me wrap this show up. So until next time, follow the code of the Fish Nerds, Sam. Yep. Spawn early and often.
Yep.
Never trust a free lunch with strings attached. And swim against the current every chance you get. Bye.